Chris Lee and Blake Lovell, the Southeastern 14, here to preview SEC basketball action for Saturday. If you watched our trying to walk you through the SEC bracket, which we just did a minute ago as we do this. First of all, who are you? And second, why are you a glutton for punishment? And why are you back for more? Anyway, we're going to do predictions with all that said. And this can't be any harder than figuring out tournament brackets.
No, this is going to be easy.
But this one might be hard. Alabama going to A&M. First game of the day. Nothing on the line other than potential NCAA tournament implications. That probably being more for A&M than Alabama. Both teams obviously going to be in, but A&M might be playing for a seed here or there. You can watch it, 11 Central on CBS. Ken Palm has Alabama a 3-point favorite on the road with a 61% chance to win. And although this one means nothing in SEC standings, my goodness, this should be one of the more fun games of the year to watch. Certainly more fun than trying to figure out who slots where in an SEC tournament bracket.
Thank goodness sure. you can watch this game without having to think anything about any tournament seeding. That's what this was my favorite game on the list for that reason. Is knowing that I don't have to think anything else other than the basketball being played, and that they're the number 1 and number 2 seeds, and nothing's going to change that. I am going to pick Texas A&M here. I believe that's the first time I picked against Alabama this season. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's the first time I picked against them. But I think it's because of what you said. There's really nothing on the line here. Alabama's wrapped up the regular season title. I told you they're a number 1 seed if they win this game or lose this game. Not just in the SEC tournament, in the NCAA tournament. For A&M, though, they need a little boost to their resume. We've talked about that. I could see them coming out here and having one of those games that we saw Alabama have against Tennessee, just based on the defensive intensity of A&M. I could see Alabama come out and maybe not have that same intensity. And we said, what does A&M do in College Station? They shoot free throws. And
win.
Well, yeah, and they win. And I could definitely see that being the case here. So I'm going to take A&M because I think, again, this is not to me, this is not a knock on Alabama. This is just I think there is a bit at stake for A&M because, that win can significantly impact their seeding in the NCAA tournament. So I think just knowing that, Alabama coming off of just an absolute battle against Auburn, having to go play an A&M team that, again, that energy, the atmosphere, I think it's a tough spot for Alabama. So I'm going to take the Aggies, Tyrese Radford, Wade Taylor, those guys. I think their defense on the perimeter too will help. Coleman and Marble and those guys kind of banging around. Yeah, so I think that's kind of what I would look at. I know Dexter Dennis. What is his injury situation? I don't remember exactly what.
Well, that might be important. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's important long term because he didn't play against Ole Miss, but I don't know that I've seen an update since then. It was a sprained left knee is why he didn't play against Ole Miss. So I'm not sure. Again, I don't know. Ole Miss, I mean, A&M fans may just be like, oh, yeah, this. I haven't seen the update. So certainly they'd love to have him on the floor, but I'm going to take A&M regardless. So
I'm with you. I think Alabama is sort of due for one of these, and that place is going to be packed. I mean, of course, Alabama's been there and handled that, Houston and all kinds of places. It just feels like Alabama's had an escape or two. And the Aggies, this one to Barkley, this one just means more to the Aggies, I think. Unintentional use of a different phrase there. All right. Georgia visits South Carolina. South Carolina had this.
Let's just make a pick here.
Weird road split thing going on where it played better on the road than at home. That's changed a little bit lately. It doesn't feel like Georgia can beat anybody, anywhere, anytime at this point. Carolina is still out there playing hard for Lamont Paris. Feels like a spot where the Gamecocks could take one at home.
Yep, I'm going to take South Carolina. Georgia's not been great on the road, as we talked about. Seeding-wise, don't even ask me what this means for seeding. Georgia's locked into the 11. That's all I know. Everything else, good luck. South Carolina wins this one, I guess. That locks them into the 12, right? So, yeah. Yeah, I'd take South Carolina. Georgia's not been great on the road, as we talked about. And, I mean, the Gamecocks don't – I mean, they're just playing better at times. Tennessee game, I know, was not that way, but they're just playing some better basketball. And so, I don't trust Georgia away from Athens right now, just
Away
again,
from
based on
anywhere.
– well, yeah, I mean, it's just they're not a team that plays well away from home. We talked about that. So, give me the Gamecocks in this one.
Okay. 1 o'clock ESPN game. By the way, the last one was noon Central on the SEC Network. 1 o'clock in Auburn, Alabama. Auburn plays Tennessee. The Tigers are a 3-point underdog to Tennessee. Auburn has not been able to catch a break lately. I feel like the Tigers are due for one here.
Yep, I think I agree with you. This is a must-win for Auburn. It's not a must-win for Tennessee, and never underestimate the impact of a desperate team. Because guess what? We saw that desperate team against Alabama on Wednesday. It's just, can they get beyond that, right? To get that same thing back here, because a game like that too can, I mean, it can break you as well. Like, it can be one, you're like, rivalry game, chance to deny Alabama an outright SEC championship to lock up your NCAA tournament bid, and you get none of that. And now you got to come back and play a Tennessee team that, obviously without Zakai Ziegler, but still a Tennessee team that we saw what happened in the first game, right? 46-43, just a pure, I mean, I don't know what you call that game. I know people have some words for it, but I don't know if I can use them on YouTube. But, those teams could not make a three. It was just a very ugly game offensively, but you have to give a little bit of the credit to the defense in that. And I think you'll see a lot of that same stuff here, but I'm with you. I think Auburn's kind of a desperate team, and I could see that on display, grinding out a win here, because I do think if they win, it locks up an NCAA tournament bid for the Tigers. So I will take them at home, but I'm more curious about how Tennessee now goes into another game. Obviously, the Ziegler injury happened during the last game against Arkansas. They won by 18. How does it impact them now moving forward, game by game? And I think this is one where my guess is Bruce Pearl will have his guys motivated. It's just, can they get that same level of intensity back that they had against Alabama? If they can, I think they win it.
Yeah, and remember how that first one ended? It was toe-to-toe until that controversial final last play. Okay, this one was not that close first time those two teams played. That's Arkansas and Kentucky, when Arkansas went to Rupp and won pretty easily. These teams tip off same time. Second CBS game of the day for the SEC. How about that?
Yep.
Arkansas is about a 5-point favorite, and I feel like this is kind of the situation Auburn's in. I think that Arkansas is in a better spot for the NCAA tournament with the loss than Auburn would be, but you really don't want to take your chances. Kentucky, I would presume, is playing without Case and Wallace, and Xavier Wheeler didn't play against Vandy. I presume he's out for this one. Maybe that's a faulty presumption, but going to Fayetteville without a point guard, Blake, that could be a little dicey. If that's how it pans out. Yeah, I don't know how Wallace is. Right.
The X-ray was negative.
Dicey either way.
Fine. So,
okay.
Cal said, hoping he's ready to play on Saturday. But again, you don't know those things, right? So, yeah, it's really hard to project without that. But I think either way, I would take Arkansas here, because, again, I don't want to say Arkansas is desperate, because they're not to the level of desperation, I think, of an Auburn right now. But if you do want to avoid that 8-10 mark, like I said, I'm not saying that's the end all be all, folks, but it is something I think that is visually glaring if you go 8-10 and you lose in the SEC tournament first game. But I think that's it. And we know Bud Walton gets rocking for these kind of games. Arkansas just what's the thing with the knock we've had on Arkansas is what? They haven't been great away from home. But this isn't Bud Walton. And I know they lost
to
Mississippi
State. They rarely
State.
lose.
Yeah, they lost to Mississippi State not long ago, lost to Alabama way back when. But I just think, this seems like a good setup for them. And Kentucky's coming off of a disappointing home loss to Vanderbilt. And whether Wallace plays or not, is he 100%? How does that impact against an Arkansas team that we know really defends and will get up in you, force some turnovers? To me, this is what does Sheboy do in this game? Because remember, too, these two teams didn't play. I mean, it's been about 3 weeks or so now, I guess. But Wallace had a huge game that first time around. And so if you take that out of the equation, let's say again, maybe he doesn't play or that kind of stuff, but Arkansas was still able to take advantage, because they forced some turnovers. I thought they didn't take a lot of threes. Remember, we talked about that. They only took 9 threes in that game, but they got to the free throw line. I feel like if Arkansas can get to the free throw line here again, really challenge Kentucky, especially if they're shorthanded, stay in attack mode, don't settle for threes. I just think with Nick Smith back, because remember, they beat them in Rupp without Nick Smith. Let's not forget that. I think Arkansas is probably the choice here.
Okay, 2:30, and the last three are all on the SEC network. Ole Miss travels to Missouri. Missouri, a 9-point favorite, according to Ken Pomeroy, with an 80% chance of winning. Look, Ole Miss, give the Rebels credit. Coaching change and everything, or coaching vacancy with an interim coach, to be exact. Ole Miss has not stopped fighting. Ole Miss can defend, but Blake, it just doesn't have the firepower to go toe-to-toe with Missouri, I don't think, especially in Columbia, where Missouri is awfully tough to beat.
Yeah, I mean, I assume it's senior night for Missouri, right?
Well, and one other thing, but before we get into this, because I don't want to forget it, how many losses does Missouri have outside of Quad 1?
Oh, Chris, why did you say that? Missouri fans, they are coming after you now. You said the one thing we've never phrased it in question form.
We broke up the no-hitter, didn't we?
We've knocked on wood, and you might want to do that a lot right now, Missouri fans, after what he just did. But we've never phrased it that way. Well, now Chris has phrased it that way. You're a little more antsy. No, I mean, I can't pick against Missouri here. I mean, they should win this game. And, like I said, senior night, they got a lot of, older players on the roster. I don't know. Yeah, give Ole Miss credit, like you said, they're not quitting, but I just think this is a game where, to me, a guy like Demoy Hodge can be a real difference maker, knowing Matthew Morrell's on the other side, frustrate them, from a defensive standpoint, just with the turnovers and not let Ole Miss maybe get into a rhythm. Because I just don't think Ole Miss wants to play that game. They don't want to play that up and down type game. I just don't think that's how they're going to win. So, yeah, Missouri should win this game. But, Chris, I say all that, I'm going to pick Ole Miss in this one.
And I know why.
So, I'm going to go Ole Miss.
You're pandering again.
I almost forgot, honestly. I almost forgot to do this. So I apologize for Missouri fans, but I think as long as I officially corrected it before we were done, that's all that matters. And I did officially correct that I'm going to pick Ole Miss to win this game. So Missouri fans, you're welcome. If you're just tuning in for the first time and you're trying to figure out why I'm picking the upset here, sorry, you'll have to do a little research because we're kind of on a time crunch here. But just know that I don't really have a choice. I have to pick Ole Miss to win this game.
Yep. You're contractually obligated to do that, I believe. Okay. Florida hosts LSU at 5. Of course, we know Florida without Colin Castleton, but the Gators have played pretty well without him. LSU has played fairly well, but just can't seem to get wins. Blew a game against Missouri the other night where it led for 37.5 minutes. The Gators 10-point favorites in Gainesville. Of course, that's going to factor in Castleton as we look at that on KenPom, but Florida's done pretty well without him. Not the same team in the post, but the Gators have found some shooting. And again, when LSU gets into a shooting match with anybody, that's usually bad news. Although ironically, LSU went 14 of 28 from 3 and losing to Missouri. So like even when LSU does shoot, it just hasn't gone the Tigers' way. But for lack of a better idea, I like Florida in this one, being at home and just having responded pretty well to the Castleton absence.
I appreciate your thoroughness on that. Yeah, I'm going to take Florida.
That's what they all do.
That's about all I got. I think Florida's the pick here. Yeah, give them credit, like you said. They've played well at times without him, and went and picked up a nice road win at Georgia just to sweep Mike White, which I know Florida fans will appreciate. But I just don't. LSU, I think, had their best shooting night against Missouri, and it wasn't enough. And I don't see them going on the road and winning this one. So I'll take the Gators.
All right. This is, in my mind, the biggest toss-up of the day. And by the way, Ken Pomeroy has Vanderbilt as a 1-point favorite with a 50% chance to win. So whatever the decimal is there, I guess Vanderbilt's like 1/10 of a point favored or whatever that might be. It rounds off the whole number. So that is how close Ken Palm sees this. Now, there's two problems with that, okay? Vanderbilt, I'm pretty sure, is not going to have Liam Robbins, who is far and away its best player. So that's number one. Problem number two, Vandy didn't have Liam Robbins for all but 2 minutes the other night and went and won in Lexington against a hot Kentucky team anyway. I think on a neutral floor, which it won't be, State's the better team. State's got more to play for, but Vanderbilt has been in one coin flip game after another lately, has found a way to win. But State, on the other hand, what State was 1-6, I think, to start SEC play and had its back against the wall and has basically been playing for its tournament life for about a month now. This one's interesting, and I don't have a great feel.
Give me the Commodores. They're the team of destiny right now. I'm picking Vanderbilt because I feel like I don't pick them a lot in these scenarios, but it's like eventually you have to look at what they've done. And it's not to say Mississippi State hasn't been just as impressive. And I know there are going to be some Mississippi State fans that like it when I pick against them because they usually win too. So they're trying to get in Missouri territory. So you should appreciate this, Mississippi State fans, that I'm picking Vanderbilt here. But I mean, how do you pick against them right now? Like, in all honesty, like I guess you could say the same about Mississippi
State. They seem to play
but
their best ball against the best teams, Blake.
Yeah,
it's when they play crummy teams that you have to worry about them.
I mean, and look, you can still say this for Mississippi State. Their last 4 SEC losses they've had by 2 points, 3 points, 3 points, 2 points. Like, think about how much different Mississippi State's. Just think about this. If they lose at Vanderbilt and they get left out of the NCAA tournament, I mean, think about how many close losses they've had just by one play here, one play there. I don't know if that's going to be the case again here, but I do think Mississippi State really needs to win. But you have 2 desperate teams here. And so I think it makes for quite a setup. And I don't think I can pick against Vanderbilt now after seeing them go and win at Kentucky. They're back home in this setting. My issue becomes what you said. No Liam Robbins. You got Toulouse Smith on the other side. But I don't trust Mississippi State enough offensively right now. I trust them defensively, full on. But in this scenario, I don't know how much I trust them. I think rebounding could be a big play here. But look, I mean, Kentucky had Oscar Tshiebwe, right? And so I don't know. I mean, it's like, how do you properly figure that out? With that, I'm not sure. So Mississippi State, one of the things I guess they have going for them that Kentucky doesn't have is I think they're maybe a little bit more size, not a lot, but just in terms of looking at some of those guys that may be on the floor. But I don't have a great feel for it either. But I'm going to pick Vanderbilt because I just don't know that I can pick against them in this scenario. So
that game to me is, if we had to bet our lives on it.
Wow,
give me winners in 7 games. Well, first of all, I hope I'd never be in that spot. But
on, please don't make me do
that. That would be the last game I would pick if I had to order them 1-7. That's the one I would most not want my life to be riding on.
Well, I don't know what else I can add to that. I am with you. Absolutely not. So,
death match weekend in the SEC.
My goodness, this is escalated.
Life or death
here
for your tournament.
Good gracious. Well,
we took that morbid in a hurry, didn't we?
All right. Yeah, this is, I think this whole seed scenario video, which is going to come out a day before this one, everybody's going to, I don't know, they're still going to be collecting their thoughts from that video probably. But anyways.
Cage match. That's a better way to put it. It's cage match weekend for some of these teams.
There you go.
State and Vanderbilt in a cage. The guy who escapes lives for another fight. The one who doesn't, gonna have to do a lot of work.
Yeah,
Nashville.
Taking a turn here. Anyways, we'll have it all covered. I don't know what Chris is going to be doing. I think the scenario video broke him. So I don't know what he's going to be doing.
No more.
We'll have you covered. We're going to do all kind. We're actually going to have some videos up this weekend. So we'll let you know when those are coming. We'll have our awards, SEC tournament kind of breakdown. We'll do a live stream probably on Monday. Then we've got obviously a lot of stuff coming next week that we'll talk about first of next week. So hit that subscribe button, and we appreciate the support.
Yeah, thanks for watching. In case you can't tell by it, we try not to take ourselves too seriously. And we hope you have fun watching and learn some things. And if you do like it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. That's free. That does help us out. He's Blake Lovell. I'm Chris Lee. We got a lot more stuff coming. We're doing baseball, football, and basketball around the clock here at Southeastern 14. Again, thank you for watching. We'll see you soon.